Hi there, Jagruti. Good morning. It's a Sunday. It's really bright here in California. And to the viewers,
Morning.
welcome to part two of our conversation with Jagruti Gopar. I'm Dr. Nisha Manek. I don't like using the word doctor because I'm just Nisha Manek. But we've been so talking about, just as we got onto this session, about the nexus between science and spirit, how they come together. And we were having coffee and here's my mug, which is the physics, the best equations around the world that have really enhanced our knowledge of the workings of nature, of the
hmm
cosmos. Isaac Newton, information theory, energy. We'll cover some of these things today. So even as I look around, Faraday equations. Now I could spend all day, all morning talking about these. They're beautiful. So this was my gift to Dr. Tiller, actually, Dr. Bill Tiller. He passed away about 2 years ago, and I have the mug. So
Oh,
I
that's
remember him
wonderful.
every day. And you know what? I think we should design a mug, or I should design a mug. By the way, it's E equals MC squared. Einstein.
Einstein.
Yeah, Einstein, energy equals matter
hmm
times the speed of light squared, which is enormous. I mean, the pinky of your little finger can light up the city of Chicago. Okay? So we have a lot of energy, and we have to understand that we already have inbuilt us the methods to self-healing, and which is what I really want us to explore, Jagruti, because you have given a pathway for your clients to go into discovery of self-healing. But so equal equals MC squared, and we'll come back to some of the energy principles. But thank you for allowing me to open up that way. And I just want to say we're coming up to Diwali, November
hmm
1st. November
Yes.
1st. And yesterday, my whole family gathered for a luncheon for Diwali. And what did we say?
Sitaram.
Sitaram, really? Jai Ram,
Sitaram.
Sitaram, okay?
Yeah.
Because Sita and Ram is the victory of the goodness of light over
Mm.
all other
All darkness.
limitations. I'm not
Right.
going to use any other words because everything else is limited. We are unlimited beings. We are spiritual entities having a physical existence. And once we know that, and there are ways to acknowledge Sitaram within us, then we go and step into the role of being
Mm.
co-creators with nature of and with God. And one of the best ways, Sitaram, of course, your Dada contemplated Sita and Ram in his daily meditation in Gujarat. But one other thing I just want to mention here is Hanuman.
Mm.
Lord Hanuman.
What a
Hanuman is
devotee.
Shiva. Hanuman is Shiva.
Yeah.
Is the Shiva avatar, and avatar is a reincarnation. Loosely speaking, some other people say, "No, Nisha, that was not quite correct." But for the purposes of communication, Hanuman served
hmm
devotedly Ram, Ram, Ram,
Mm.
Ram. And my grandma, you reminded me, your dada did this contemplative practice. My grandma, when she passed, my maternal grandma in London, when she passed, she had left many, many books, diaries. And in those diaries was Ram, 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 Ram,
Mm.
Ram. She would have hours of writing Ram. Why is the writing so important? You know, and you can't just think of something,
You. hmm
you render it physical by writing it, or you render it
You
physical by
recite it.
Ram. But she lived alone in her little flat. We called them flats. And she would write Ram books.
hmm
Okay. So we gave it into, you donate it or into a mandir
Yeah.
temple because this is spiritual power,
hmm
sacred object. And my grandma was absolutely strong. 89, she's reaching 90. We don't know her age because they didn't used to
Record
record
that.
these births in Africa, South
Mm-hmm.
Africa, but and Mozambique.
Mm-hmm.
But so here was this towering lady who would say that it is spiritual realities that will sustain you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would go to Glasgow University to medical school, she would say, yes, pay attention, but don't forget your core realities,
Mm-hmm.
as was my mother's counsel. Thank God, because that really informs you to now, to this day. Now I'm talking too much. I'm talking too much.
No,
But
I
we did
think
do a
I
lot
think
of
that's
sitara.
beautiful because just from what you were saying, when you go to the university and life happens, right? You get so busy with your studies and just um learning everything and meeting people, but you'll never forget that foundation. So when
Yes,
you and that
yes.
is so important and I
I,
remember, yeah.
I'll say one other thing. I remember the halls of study at in Scotland, and I don't know Latin.
Mhm.
The kids there in Scotland learn Latin. So when they came to learn anatomy, they understood it. Okay, they remembered. I didn't. I had to really sweat it out. So what helped me was I would put headphones on. A couple of things was Sitaram or Hanuman
Mhm.
Chalisa. Hanuman
Mhm.
Chalisa is saying,
Yeah.
Hanuman, help. And Hanuman was a great learner. He would
Yeah.
write poetry, and but I didn't know. I just put that on, or Gregorian chanting, Italian monastic chanting, and it would help me just sink in and learn my anatomy. And I went through medical school with that way. It wasn't rote
Yeah.
learning. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It doesn't sustain you. You have to reach into other ways where your brain and your heart can be synced up. And I think it still resonates today when I'm at the bedside, like, what's really going on here? Because book
Mhm.
learning is limited. You
Mhm.
have to reach into other avenues of, you might say, inspiration. That's the art, the intuition of
Mhm.
medicine, because God is the greatest physician. God is the
Mhm.
greatest physician. I mean, and so we work through that and understand it. And by the way, I'm also inspired to say the Hippocratic Oath is let's do no harm, and that we reach
Mhm.
into nature to bring out the natural remedies, which is what you did. You said, okay, I did my nursing. I'm clerking all these drugs, 30 or 40, whatever it was. And because we see it now, we're over
Mhm.
medicating our patients in the modern system, and we prescribe very easily, very
Mhm.
easily. And the patients even expect it. What, aren't you going to give me a drug for this?
Mhm.
And we forget that there is this whole other avenue in our kitchens in Ayurveda. Ayurveda is really using the nature's remedies to help inflammation. And you have rheumatoid arthritis, and I know you have probably done all of these things. And we would love for you to share about that.
Yeah, so when you say a few of these points, it takes me back to, Ayurveda is the oldest practice for healing and
Mm-hmm.
medicine.
Mm-hmm.
We look at naturopathic medicine and even our modern medicine, but Ayurveda, what goes back 5,000 years.
Yeah.
So it was really the foundation, right? And if you look at every Indian home,
Mm-hmm.
they look at their spices as ways to help heal. And, sometimes maybe they didn't even understand that this is medicine, but they were just, I think, brought up like that.
They were
So, what
aware. Yes.
they were
Yes.
aware. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say to my mom, oh, I'm having a stomach ache. And she'll be like, oh, take some ajma and,
Ah,
water and mix it up. And And I'm like, but what's the under? She wouldn't be able to explain. Whereas so this is
Mhm.
where the science bridges. I won't do anything without understanding. I'm like, but I want to know the why. I always wanted to inquire and know the why.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, our spice cabinet has everything. Turmeric nowadays, they everywhere it's blown up that it's an anti-inflammatory. Well, in Ayurveda in India, they've been using it all along. Every meal probably has turmeric in it,
Yes.
whether it's fresh or the spice itself. Ginger, great
Mhm.
for digestion. Every morning when people are drinking tea, there's some ginger. There's like elchi. There's all these, cinnamon, these herbs and spices to balance out our doshas and to balance a lot of the I don't want to call it disease, but before things will even form,
Imbalances, right.
imbalances.
Yes.
Yes, it will help to correct the body by simply, turning to nature.
And it's
And
interesting, now turmeric has, um, it's now mainstream.
then,
Nobody can argue that, and there's integrative centers of medicine in Harvard, Stanford. And if you look at what you're saying, yes, it's turmeric, black pepper to increase absorption. It is ginger, it is cinnamon, clove, and you mentioned elaichi, which is cardamom, and
mm-hmm,
and the chai that you bring that the Indian Ayurveda will have. And by the way, I used to do Ayurvedic retreats, and there is chai with all of the steeping of these various components of spices,
mm-hmm,
and it's steeped and it's very warming and nice. You
mm-hmm.
settle in. And what's
Yes.
your recipe for chai? You're drinking something, so I'm very curious now.
Well, since you say I do like the traditional tea with
Mhm.
the actual tea, but I know, that has caffeine in it. But if I were doing a truly Ayurvedic chai, it would just be spices such
Mhm.
as
Yes.
clove, which is great for pain.
Hmm.
Cinnamon, it's nice and warming, increases circulation, helps with
Yeah.
um, just
Yeah.
so many things,
Yes.
and I just love the warmingness of that.
Hmm.
I love cardamom.
Hmm.
What else? I actually put this spice, which anise. Have you heard of that?
No.
Anise. It's the
Hmm.
star fruit.
Okay.
It's
Yes.
it has some sweetness, and to be honest with you, I don't even know the
It's
what it's
anise.
good
It's
for.
like in the
Anise,
licorice
yes,
family. Yeah, I
but
understand.
it
Hmm.
tastes it. I like it. It's soothing.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I'll just mix that, like some ginger,
Hmm.
sometimes even lemongrass or like
Yes. Yes.
fresh lemongrass is
Yes.
so
Yes.
great for pain, and it's
Yes.
just like
Yes.
invigorating, opens
Yes.
you up.
Yes.
I Yeah.
For your rheumatoid, do you have a certain set of things you do to help your own physical body adopt it from Dada or your own
So
experimentation? What would those be?
I I had my rheumatoid arthritis like 2 years after my grandfather passed. So
Hmm.
I never had the opportunity to ask him. However,
Yes.
but that's when I started going inwards. So one thing, Dr. Manek, I want to share with you, when I first started feeling the symptoms of the joint discomfort, I was actually very much into my yogic practice and breath work, but I began to notice when I would do my cat and cow pose, my wrist would feel like it's
Yes.
broke coming out of it. I was no longer able to do those poses. And the A type of personality, the perfectionist in me would say, oh, this is all composed together. My breath work, my kriya, it's all part of my, I would do a yogic
Hmm.
practice before I go into this part. And I said, well, if I can't do this, because I kept trying to modify, then I was kind of in my own way and say, well, then I'm just not going to do it. So
I
I gave
see.
up my practice. for like 2 years. And then I could tell in those 2 years, the pain kept getting worse. And I was so disconnected. I knew there was a big part missing in my spirit, and I needed to go back to the meditation.
Yeah.
And at this time, it was getting pretty bad. So, anyways, that's when I dove back into, I kind of said, okay, I won't do the yoga since these certain poses would make things difficult, but I dove back into breath work and meditation. And I started doing abhyanga. So I don't know
Hmm.
if you know what that is, but abhyanga is a Ayurvedic self massage. So you
Hmm.
can do it from from a yogic healing spa as well. But if you do self daily massage of abhyanga, it is so nourishing. And I found it to be so grounding
Hmm.
for my body type, which was vata. And I'll explain that to you in a second, what that
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
and how the doshas can affect our disease or imbalances. But so it's warming of the oil. So I used sesame seed oil, which
Yeah.
is considered like the king of all oils, great for all body types. And I would receive my oil from Banyan Botanicals.
Hmm.
It's all organic, and you heat the oil. And sometimes I might even put some essential oils in it to, just depending on what I'm feeling, but I would heat the oil. And then simply, it is before going into and having your shower or bath, it can get very messy. So you have to be prepared, but you have to really create a ritual for this.
Yes.
I would first dry brush my joints, and
Ah,
that is
uh-huh. Yes.
simply taking a brush. I didn't come prepared. I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but it's almost like a brush, and you are just you
It's a
know
natural bristle brush, right?
yes, the
Hmm.
one I use is a bamboo
Hmm.
um dry brushing. So you're just holding it and brushing out. So the idea is you're going to bring all the circulation back to the heart center. So you start out with your extremities, your feet. I would do that all the way up, abdomen, back.
Wow.
Don't forget your lymph nodes where it
Yes.
drains, because you
Yes.
want everything to drain beautifully. And by using the dry brush, it's opening up the airway, the circulation. So when I do put this beautiful warm oil that's so nourishing for the body, it will soak in. And it's
Mm.
simply, I would do it in my shower, dry brushing first, and then I have the oil heated, and then I'm just taking the oil and putting it on with circular motions around the joints wherever it's hurting. So I'm
Yes.
doing circular motions around, being sure I get through every fingertips, every,
Wow. Yeah.
knuckle, because
So
this
there's
is this
self-awareness
is
of each.
where,
Yeah.
yes. And I would do that. And then of course, when you get to the longer parts of your arms, you're just doing these nice strokes. When you get here, you're also doing one of these, and so you're literally lubricating your entire body. And it might sound kind of sloppy, or like, oh, I don't want to get all
It
oily.
sounds rather nice, actually, not
It is
sloppy, but it takes time.
so
You have
so
to have,
nourishing.
yeah, you
It
have
is
to
so
have,
nourishing.
yeah.
And this is exactly what I needed, because my body was always in that fight or flight mode, do. And this was like my zen. So my ritual would be, I would play these beautiful Sanskrit chants in the background, and I'm doing this. So it's my
Mm.
ritual. Many times I'll even, as my Sanskrit chants are going on, I'll even think of Louise Hayes. I love her affirmations, and I would say her affirmations, and I loved it. It is so
Yes.
grounding. And I can tell you, even till now, every winter is when I need the this practice, because our joints stiffen, right? Our weather
Yes.
It gets
Yes.
cold and dry. So when I was talking about the body type, in Ayurveda, they say, everything is made up of 5 elements, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Earth, water, fire, space, and air.
Hmm.
And these elements are everywhere outside in nature, and it's within us. We are literally made up of these 5 elements. Different compositions makes us up from these five
Yes.
elements. And then based on that, we have 3 types of doshas, or they refer to them as constitutions. So vata is made up of more space and air. So there's
Hmm.
more movement. And people that are vata are thin, they have energy, they keep going. That's me. At the same time, if you don't nourish your and nurture that part, you
Hmm.
can overdo it, and then you begin to feel less, and then
Yes.
you begin to have the aches and pains, and that's exactly what was happening to me. Is my vata was so high, and the inflammation was outrageous, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
um so I'll explain to you how that goes into the food and the seasons. But then you also have pitta, which is
Hmm.
made up of fire
Hmm.
and water. So pitta is really important for digestion. Like right after we eat, we need that fire, that
Yes.
digestive fire to break down the foods. And
Hmm.
then we have kapha, which is made up of more and earth element and water. So pitta is more heavy.
And
It's it's
cooling, I
it's
think.
yes, it's cooling, it's
Mm-hmm.
heavy,
Hmm.
it's grounding.
Hmm.
Whereas the pitta is sharp, fire, focus. So based on these 3 constitutions, all of us are made up of them.
Yes.
We have one that will be more predominant,
Hmm.
but we have all 3 of them.
Hmm.
And then we'll have a secondary and then one that's less. So, depending on what each constitution each of us are, and if we know that, we can pretty much operate our life based on that. Because,
Hmm.
like for me, for example, winter is a vata season. So these 3 constitutions are also in different seasons. Like
Hmm.
summer would be pitta, it's very hot, and vata is more in the winter. And then even time frames. Did you
Yes.
and that is amazing, like to know, oh, your pitta will be high between I don't know if the exact time frame, maybe 11 to 2 or 10 to 2.
Mm.
So that's when you want to eat your heaviest meal because your digestive fire is so strong.
You have to be really connected to nature to understand all of these fluxes and to adopt.
Yes.
So I like what
It's
you're
a whole
saying.
science. It's a
Oh,
whole,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And this is science and spirit connected. You're not separate. Now you're really aware and respectful and not resisting and fighting it. You're simply saying, let me adopt this. I'm interested in the sesame oil. Is it toasted or raw organic sesame oil? Am I correct?
Yeah, so it is raw and organic. And then when you heat it, you're um now again, I probably won't understand the science, but when you're heating it, you're making it just the way your body needs it to support.
Yes.
Um, and initially you do want to heat up all of the oil. Like I'll usually heat it all up and prep it and then keep it so it's
Oh,
all
I
kind
see.
of,
Hmm.
processed or whatever it needs. I don't know the exact term. But then from there, each time I use it, so I have a big jar of it, and then I'll pour it from my big mason jar into these individual jar that I use then, each day that I would be doing the practice. Like I'll just pour enough And then, I mean, I've had several different methods that I've used, like the plug-in, where the heater, so you can put that glass jar directly on it to heat the oil. I've done, candles and warming it. There's multiple ways.
Yeah.
So each
But I
person can
wonder,
do what works
can
best
the
for them.
viewer, yeah, sorry. Can the viewer use other oils? Now I'll say mustard is very warming. Almond is very warm, also quite nice. Jojoba oil. I was just interested that sesame is much more Ayurvedic in tone. But if somebody, you mentioned a company, and I know you can get these on Amazon too. Eden is one company I can think of right off the
Eden
bat.
is a great company. Yeah.
Yeah, sesame oil is good for you to just ingest and, as you said, massage. But are these other oils also in
To be honest
keeping?
with you, I think any oil would probably be good, but if you're truly
Okay.
following the Ayurvedic path, they'll
Yes.
recommend the sesame oil.
Okay.
But they do recommend, for example, like some people will want to, if you're pitta, and even though sesame oil works for all doshas, like in the summer months, maybe you want to use coconut oil because coconut
Oh,
has
yeah.
cooling
Hmm.
elements. So coconut would be not the right oil choice for winter for sure.
Hmm.
And again, I go back to it's your intention. I mean, almond oil has great properties and it's great for skin. And the idea behind all of the oils is lubrication, right? And when it's warmed, it's going into the different layers of the skin. And what is happening when you have inflammation? And as we're getting older, you're beginning to have more joint on joint, the lubrication, synovial
Yeah.
fluids, and
Hmm.
all that. We're having less and less of the
Yeah.
cushioning of the joints. So the whole idea with using oils, it's lubricating, it's going into the joints and tissues and it's just supporting everything.
I think what
It's
you're also bringing to my
it's
mind is that certain properties of sesame versus almond, their efficiencies in as you apply. Castor oil has a very different property. Sesame is different. So, and I think you're right about the intention. If you're going to ease the inflammation and stiffness in a certain season, be aware of what you're doing. And I think in
yes.
your case, the sesame is a really much more broader
Sesame oil is
usage.
good
Yeah.
for all body types.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
why I like to just, and then if maybe say your family's, it's a well-rounded oil. You can use
Hmm.
it for cooking as long as you're getting the good organic. You can use it for so many things,
We
right?
do. Yeah.
Health, beauty, for abhyanga, for food,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. We
Um,
use a lot of
but
sesame. Hmm.
but now let's say if you don't have sesame oil, my dada would actually say use olive oil. It's nice, it's thick. You use it to cook. It's another great oil.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think if you're at the point like, oh, I don't have money maybe to buy sesame oil, okay, you know what? Make do with what you have. Just
Yeah.
make sure it's nice, organic, it's a good quality. Put your intention, pray on it, send some energy,
Yeah.
just clear the intention. That is the most important thing, I would say. Because when you eat like food, I will send energy, healing. Thank you, God, for the
Yes.
food that it and how many, God knows how and where this food came from. Because
Yes.
as much as I would love to grow my own food, it just doesn't happen all the time. I mean, I might have one or two herbs and I'm just not a grower. So I have
Yeah.
to rely on like local farmers or local, produce. So I'll
Yes.
try to make those choices. But then even if I go to Whole Foods, I was just there last week and I saw things are coming from California, Mexico. So things are still coming from far distant places, even
We
though
say
they say
thank you for
organic.
all of it. Yeah.
I say thank you. I bless it. And I thank the farmers, the people that have transported the food, because it's all energy. If somebody had had some negative energy handling that,
Yeah.
and I'm just cooking it up, I will get that energy. When I cook my food, I have chants playing, I have soothing
Yeah.
music, I have just uplifting things playing, and I'm in a open, vibrant
Yes.
space while I'm cooking, because I definitely don't want, yucky energy from the food, or if I'm worried and stressed, I don't want that energy to go into the food and my family eating that. No, absolutely not.
So you and this is a very important point you're making, that the very level of consciousness, and we're going to use the term mind at the point of preparation of food or acceptance of the food, even when you're shopping, is really paramount. So you have to be steady inside to understand what's outside. You mentioned Louise Hay, affirmations. I'd met this lady. She lived in Carlsbad,
Oh,
California. So she was very interested in Dr. Tiller's work. So she had, the Hay House publications, all right. But you mentioned Louise Hay's affirmation. Do you have one or two that really got you on the road to healing? What would you
so
share
for
with
I
our
think
viewers?
my very basic and all-time favorite is, I love and I approve myself just as I am. And
Yeah.
because and it's not just me, but I have noticed when I'm working on many of my women clients, worthy is such a low thing for so many of us women. We underestimate our worth.
Hmm.
And as much as I know I am so worthy and I love what I do, and my intention is always to help people, there's things that get in the way. Who knows? It's maybe things from, I mean, we attract and have energies that are stuck to us from birth. Things are genetically passed to us. And I didn't even understand these things until I started studying with Dr. Bradley Nelson, that we can have all these energies, you know?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love that. I love and I approve myself just as I am. And
Yeah.
then and the universe
There's one that I
supports
use.
me.
You
And
bring to mind one. I'm sorry.
and
But
yeah,
I'm laughing
no.
because I say, okay, I look like that. I sound like that. Get over it. Get over it. Okay. Because, I lecture a lot and I'm always speaking. And sometimes I go, oh, but I should have had this and this suit and I should look like that. No, I sound like this. I look like this. Get over
Mhm.
it and go and speak your truth. And I like that. You're right. So we are dismantling the energies and all of these lower emotions because they don't belong to us. We're spiritual entities. We're going back to
Mhm.
Sitaram. The spiritual entities are now coming forth, and you help your clients do that. And I also like what you said about energy, and that you have really gravitated not only to Ayurveda, turmeric, sesame, and essential oil, self care, dry brushing, making it a ritual. Take time for yourself. Carve it out. Make an
Yes.
appointment with, just like you make an appointment with your doctor, make an appointment with yourself. 30 minutes. This is your time. Self brush or focus on a painful area. Get it moving. Get it moving. I would also add, one of my spiritual teachers said, Dear knee, you're hurting me, but not me. You're in owie owie. He used the word owie owie. He says, I love you. I know you serve me. You hold me up. And so we're going to make it work, okay? So he would talk to his body. It was very sweet the way he said it.
Oh, I that is actually one of the things I wanted to share.
Yeah.
When we have pain, okay, our body is constantly talking to us. We have
Yeah.
gotten so good at quieting it down, pacifying it with a pill, or just ignoring it and
Ignoring
going
it.
on with our work because work is more important, or family needs are more important, or whatever. But what is serving us day and night? It's this body. and we
Yeah.
often don't even acknowledge it.
We
We
abuse it
often don't
actually.
even understand it.
Yeah.
We try to understand everything outside of us, but not this body.
Hmm.
And this is a temple where the divine resides in us.
Hmm.
So, yes, make that ritual 30 minutes for yourself in the morning. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. Initially it may be because you don't know how to do it, for this
Mm.
self abhyanga. But once you get good at it, you can do a quick 10-minute. And then you don't even have to
Mm.
put lotion on or anything after, because once you do this oil over your entire body and you can sit, I will usually sit right there and meditate or do a kriya just for 5 minutes or whatever you have. If you have 5 breaths, do 5 breaths. If you
Is
don't
Kriya
have 5 minutes,
breathing? Is
I
Kriya?
will,
Okay. What
after I
is?
do the whole thing, after I lubricate my whole body with this beautiful oil, I will literally just sit there and take in the chants or even just meditate, just nice deep breaths, depending on what kind of time I have. Remember, we're busy beings. If I have just 5 deep breaths to take, I will take 5. If I know it's the weekend and I have a little extra time, I might take 5 minutes, 10
Mm.
minutes. And then you are, running your body through this nice warm water. So, what is that warm water doing? It is soaking in the oil. It's going everywhere it needs to. And when we did this, remember, you're getting the glands, you're detoxifying your body, you're getting the movement wherever the energy was stuck and stagnant.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm telling you, I instantly felt the shift just by Abhyanga.
Yeah,
And if
I
you
can
don't even have
imagine.
time to do the whole body, you can do just the part of the body that is painful. Your
Yeah.
whatever part
Bring
of your
awareness
joints,
to it,
if it's
not
your
to be a,
knees, your
yeah,
hips,
yeah.
your arms, whatever is hurting, you can just do Abhyanga to that part.
Mm. Mm.
And then um after you're done, you just pat your skin dry because your skin is so nourished and it feels the love because you've given it and that love, that attention that it was
Hmm.
needing. And you
Hmm.
can say, I will even say, like, along with Louise Hayes, and thank you so much
Yeah.
for showing me that there's a problem here. I do love you. I mean,
Yes.
you
You know,
just
it's
don't
an
want to talk. You don't want to talk like this in front of people. They will think we're crazy. But
no, no, no. I don't care what others think. I'll
I
tell you
tell
this. You
people,
mentioned the cat pose and the downward. Your wrists couldn't do it. And so when that happens, any problem is an invitation for a self-discovery. It's not really a problem. We can label it like that, but it's an invitation to deepen yourself and understand your own mind and its resistances
and
and
limitations.
to remove that obstacle from your
Right.
mind, and you jump, you transcend, and it won't happen again. Okay,
Mhm.
you just acknowledge it and say, okay, I pay attention, I'm healing myself, instead of running off to get a steroid injection. Okay, you can do that, but you can actually heal yourself. Take the time. This is not a quick fix, it is really rediscovering yourself. And by the
Mhm.
way, I sometimes say the tortoise wins the race.
Oh,
Take
yeah.
your time. Okay, the tortoise wins the race. You mentioned energy, and one of the things I tell my patients is take your shoes off.
Mm.
I think one of the worst inventions just in modern living is not only this thing. Okay,
Mhm.
it has brought the world to us. We're addicted to it. We're really addicted to entertaining ourselves. I can tell you there's nothing useful if you just do scrolling, and really watch yourself, watch your emotions and how it leaves you feeling. Right
Mhm.
there. If you're not feeling pumped up, or if you haven't gained any new ways of living on that moment, stop doing it. Just switch it off. So, one of the other things is shoes. The earth is a magnetic field.
Yes.
And people think that we're all electric, which we are, but the more accurate way of saying is that we're magnetic beings. We have polarities. And once you
Mm-hmm.
connect the polarities in a certain way, and I teach this, then you get the subtle energies moving again with nothing else, but nothing. You don't even need affirmations or breathing, or you don't need to, you actually have, you can do nothing but just sit in a certain configuration. You don't even need a fancy $1,000 mat that you plug into electric outlets. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
that basic. So can you tell us about your energy practices, and what are the first things you tell your clients about energy healing?
So I'll tell you one thing, Nisha, that keeps showing up anytime I have new clients that come to me, and even some long-term clients, if they've stopped this habit, their body is so deficient of the electromagnetic field.
Ah,
And that is why they have pain. They have this chronic issue in their body, or we label disease. Their body, when I do the body code, their body will take us to that their body is electromagnetically deficient.
wow.
So
So the battery is very low. It can't repair
battery
itself. There is
so
no
low,
power.
and I
Uh-huh.
will muscle test. Okay, how much does this person need to ground? First of all, some people are totally new to the concept. They have no idea what it is. And then
Which concept you mean grounding? Okay, yeah.
grounding. They don't know what it is, or they've heard of it, but they don't really understand it. So I explain to them, it will help increase your vitality, your circulation. It just, you're so deficient with Earth's energies. And simply by taking off your shoes and going outside, putting your bare foot on Mother Earth, the ground, grass, sand, any part of Earth, you are going to be balancing your body. Like what your body has been so deficient, it's going to
Hmm.
start taking it in. It's going to help you with your inflammation, your circulation,
Yeah.
your pain, your digestion, your sleep, your happiness, your moods. You're going to increase your serotonin.
And what happens is that the earth has free ions, just like waterfalls, bodies of water that are pure, they have ions. That's why we like going to lakes and streams and waterfalls, and the earth has ions, and they replenish the body so fast, you can't measure it. People say, well, is it placebo effect, which unfortunately has now taken hold of people's imagination, placebo effect. No, this is very real. It's very
Mhm.
real. It's so fast that you will get replenished. Take your shoes off. It doesn't matter. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, do it. This is an
Mhm.
appointment with yourself again. Right now, I don't have shoes on.
Yes,
I take them
yes.
off, and at home, I'm barefoot.
And this brings up a good point. This is a little diversion, but if you ever, we used to camp when our kids were little, but when we used to go camping, we try to do the real thing, a tent, being in nature, just like beautiful lush trees, and just that whole atmosphere. Okay, so after 3 4 days, I mean, we are sleeping so good. We've increased our oxygenation, our bodies. And this is the same thing if you go to the beach.
Mhm. Oh,
It's because your body needs.
your internet was slightly unstable. Say that again. So you're camping, your batteries are charged up.
Yes, and people will say, oh, well, I slept so good, or that. It is because you were so deficient. Your body just needed this surcharge. So yes, you are recouping and re-energizing. Sometimes, in order for you to have the energy, you need to shut down. So when you're sleeping so much better, it's recharging you, just like
Oh
plugging in your
yeah, the
phone.
circadian
So
rhythms are balanced
yes.
out. You sleep. But if I, and if somebody's hurting or they have anxiety, they come back from an exhausting work day, take your shoes off. If you can't silence your mind, take your shoes off. Can you just do that, right? Forget
Absolutely.
this,
We have a
forget
rule.
breathing, forget everything. Take your shoes off. Can we? I think you can't get better advice than just taking your shoes off. And
Sorry, you froze up for a second, but we have a rule in our house: shoes at the entrance. Anybody that even comes into our house, shoes
mm,
out there. No, nobody can walk in, no shoes. And one of the things, Nisha, I tell my clients is, if you feel like you can't even, if you don't even have the time, I want you to take a book outside, or your call. If you're on a conference call, put your AirPod. I want you to walk on earth. If you can't even do that, and you have so much work, I don't
yeah,
care. Take your laptop, sit in a chair, or if you can sit on the ground, that's even better. But if you can't, sit in a chair with your feet bare on earth and do your work on the computer. And this is some of the things I had to do. Like, I
yeah,
was so busy, and I would take some of my conference calls. I put my AirPod in, but I would walk on earth, just like in my backyard, like
yeah,
that. Or if
yeah.
I had to complete notes for clients, again, my feet are on earth and I'm typing in my notes. So
Mhm.
you have to do what works, right? And just like season changes, our needs change. Everything around us is changing. So you have to be flexible. You
Mhm.
cannot be rigid and I'm only doing this.
Right, right. So we have talked about the Ayurvedic. I think of it as chemical changes with turmeric and all of the teas, and then you're moving up into energy practices, self-care, abhyanga, and then you're talking about intention, which is higher still. And we could keep going on all of these levels, and they're all important. You can't just do one and leave the others. And I think this is where medicine falls short. We only do chemistry, we only
Mm,
do chemical medicine, and we ignore, or we don't even have the time anymore to listen to the story, the human story of what is bothering you. Sit down and look at them. We shake their hand. We're in computers now, and
mm.
it's very distressing. I do telemedicine, so I know the limitations, but I do open up the conversation of, what did you eat today? Why did you choose to eat that today? How does it make you feel today? And to
Mhm.
just slow down for 10 minutes and talk to people, and they will tell you. That's the power of a good question.
Yes.
You
And
don't
food,
need one bazillion testing. Talk to the person and they will tell you things. I didn't
right.
have time. I didn't sleep. And then you can just say, what is the one thing we can change right now? What do you think? And sometimes they don't know. And then I suggest, and that's intuition. Okay. You listen to them, you watch them, and you're an energy intuitive. And tell us a little bit about energy intuition. What does that mean?
So I think we are all intuitive in our
Mm,
own ways, just
yeah.
like, so for me, when I am working with my clients, I will have this deep sense of knowing, and I get this feeling, and I don't know them or anything, but as soon as I connect with them energetically and start working with them, that's how my intuition works. So I will ask them, or I'm feeling something in a part of my body as I've connected, and I'll say, I'm getting a really big pull on this side. Has something happened? And sure
Oh,
enough,
uh-huh.
they tell me their stories. It's things that they have blocked off, or things
Mm.
that they need to process, but because we have energetically connected, I
Mm.
hum their energies and I can start feeling. I start getting a know.
Wow.
And yeah,
It's
it
interesting.
was
So you have a gift. You have a
it
gift. You're tapping into the consciousness field which surrounds us, and consciousness holds all information. So let me give a very rough and tough example that, we all do that. We all have these capacities. Yours is much more refined. So we're in this party, and somebody enters the room. You actually feel them. Are they energy pumper uppers or energy drainer downers? I mean, sometimes I don't want to be around somebody. I don't, and it also happens in conferences. There's certain speakers, and I go, I don't think they're speaking the truth up there. And I
Mm,
leave because I can feel it. Now it's no more than that. I don't try to analyze it more. If
mhm,
my batteries are being drained, get out.
yes.
Take charge of yourself and your energy. That's self care, by the way.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
don't bother anymore. I go, okay, I don't need to know that. Out the door. But I'll get my education a different way. And I do. I'm fine. I get all my continuing medical education up. But we have to become aware of what is draining us and what is pumping us. You have a more refined, you're able to sense spleen, liver, all of these heart or solar plexus connections because they give you information of what's going on in that life.
Hmm.
Am I correct?
And
Am I
yeah, yes.
summarizing it? Okay.
Yeah. So different, and you know, so our intuition is based on our senses. Some people can actually have where they see things, they
Yeah.
can hear things. So, and again, we all have this capability. If we begin to tap in and go inwards, if we become more aware, open, intentional, and so for me, it's that I get that feeling, I can sense it, or I just a knowing comes on. And like I say, it's very accurate,
Wow.
because we're
So
connected to
you
the
don't dump the information you're getting. You
it's
go,
I mean, I'm not psychic in the
yeah,
sense, oh, I know your life. No, and
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to know people's lives and their problems,
Hmm.
but I just want to be able to help you connect and bridge what is no longer serving you. Let's get rid
Ah,
of that. See,
yeah.
we are holding on to too many past memories, traumas, whatever
Mhm.
energies that no longer serve you. So
Yeah.
we are here in this phase of life, yet we are still being operated by all this stuff in the past, or we're worried about the future, which hasn't even happened yet. And you're missing out this whole present moment. So,
Mm,
my goal is to have my clients be more present, be more aware. And my goal is I don't want them to have to depend on me all the time. Like,
right. Mhm.
I know. See, there was a difference in me and what I did, because I don't like to take people's answers. I want to know. And I always knew from a very young time that there is a healing power within us. So I want to empower each and every one I work with to ignite that for them, because
Yeah. Yeah.
you and every one of us has that power. It's
Mm.
we're never taught that.
We're
And I
not taught
don't know
that. Yeah.
why we,
Yeah.
we learn all this other stuff that's not
How many times have I heard, oh, but you're the doctor, tell me what to do?
not important.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we could learn how to manage our energy, conserve our energy, use our intuition, our awareness, connecting to our breath, this will make us make big leaps in our lives. And we're not
Hmm.
taught that. So, anyways, the people that come through my way, that's my mission, for me to teach them to tap into their source, because
Yes.
they can. And I teach very practical tips that they can leave with, of
What's a
ground.
general tip that is so universal? Could you
Yeah.
share that with the, because I know it's individual. You're doing personalized care. It's not cookie cutter at all, which is what I do. I go to algorithms and protocols and I say, okay, rheumatoid, this is what you're going to do. I mean, and then I bring in the turmeric and all the self-care I do, and
Mhm.
intention and all that. It's really now very much, it has changed me to work with the physics of energy, which by the way, I will just give you my thoughts on what is energy, and all that. Um, where was I going here? I forgot that. But what is the one, universal how to reconnect? Is it that affirmation or breath or kriya? What is
Breath is number one.
okay?
Breath is the easiest and most vital way to connect. I mean, we that's the first thing we take when we are born. We come
Yeah.
out crying, and when we end this physical form and body, that's the last thing we take.
Mm.
And that's the most mismanaged thing we do while we're living. We are we are living and breathing shallow. We don't even know how to breathe. If we can manage our breath, we can manage so much and be so much more efficient, effective. So,
You bring to mind something that, in every clinic visit, I of course do cardiopulmonary examination, even on camera. There's we call it a stethoscope, which it transmits the sounds to where I am. There's a nurse at the other end, it's telemedicine. And almost 100% of the time I tell them, can you take a deep breath? I can't hear anything. What the heck? So people don't breathe. You're right. They're shallow. They're not aware. They're just like that.
yeah,
And if we just take time to deep breathe and they feel better, they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that I
you
wasn't breathing
breathe.
right. Use your diaphragm.
Yes, you take nice deep breaths, you're going to use your full capacity of the lungs. And then on an energy level, well, you're going to have increased oxygenation and that carbon dioxide exchange, right? And moving the
But
toxins.
slow breath actually engages the anti-inflammatory reflex, the vagus nerve gets engaged. And now
Mhm.
you calm down. In fact, you can take your pulse rate. It'll start to slow
It'll
down. Yeah.
just by deep breathing.
Yeah.
I did this all the time with my clients when I'm
Hmm.
taking the blood pressure and it is skyrocket high. And I'll be like, whoa, okay, let's do some deep breathing. And I will have them, and some of them don't even know how to. And I'll say,
Yeah.
follow
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And we will do a few deep breaths. And this blood pressure that was 200 something over 160 something, it will literally come down. It's because they're not
Yeah.
breathing properly.
Yeah.
And that is, I do teach deep breathing with my clients. That was one thing I was allowed to do in nursing. But breathing is so important. And then I just want to make a quick shift, if I may, on an energy level. Now that I'm doing that, just by breathing nice and deep, you're engaging and allowing your chakras and the energies to move. Do you realize how much blocked you can have in your solar plexus or
Yeah.
sacral chakra if we're not taking those deep inhalations? It's
Hmm.
like all that energy gets trapped up, and then we wonder why we're not metabolizing our food and we're getting heavy and we have all this GI stuff. It's
Hmm.
because we're not breathing properly. And
Yeah.
then it
Yeah.
starts to
I would
affect
agree
all of
with
our
that.
organs.
Yeah, I would agree
Um,
that just that awareness of a deep breath and the air getting right down to the lungs, out again, and that awareness itself is unstucking you. You might say it gets you unstuck. Even you feel better, you get insights, and if something really is bothering you, stop, just take a few deep breaths, and it
yeah,
can just be breath, just and there are different types, for like a square, in for four, out, hold for
yeah,
four, out for four, and
box
and
breathing.
so on. It's a box breathing, but I teach a lot of the 4-7-8 breathing, which won't go into it right now, because that I find very quickly engages the vagal nerve and they calm down. If they're really anxious, we do that for a few minutes. I lead them through it. Just inhale for 4, hold for 7, out through your open mouth, for 8 and let's start the cycle again. And they're okay for a few minutes.
Mhm.
We
Yes.
have the few minutes, make the few minutes, center them and center myself,
So one
and
of the things I will share, Dr. Manek, is I'll tell people when you're driving, instead of having your thoughts go crazy or what, if somebody does something silly, and instead of getting upset, take that moment to breathe, focus on deep breathing. You're going to manage yourself better and
mm,
the situation. You're going to be calmer. So your response is going to be better. I want to share 2 tips. I don't know what kind of time frame we have.
we have time. Just
We,
keep going because, this is useful. I hope people listen to this because you have given many things to think about and to implement. You don't just listen to these things and say, oh, it wasn't that fun. I want them to look at turmeric and do a chai. I want them to get some sesame oil and just get essentially just start dry. What's the difficulty here? Take your shoes off. Breathe.
these are
There's a
practical.
lot of common sense things here. It's not, it's deep level too.
And it's
Affirmations,
practical.
self-acceptance. Yeah.
It's
Keep
practical.
going.
It's free. Most of these tips are free. Grounding, breathing.
Yes.
You
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the next tip I'm going to share is so free too. We just need to, have these in our toolkits and use it. So if you are having pain, this is one of the things I used to do, because I would get to where my joints just, I'm doing things and then suddenly they get stuck and I
Yeah.
can't move and they're just crippling and very stuck and it's very painful. So very simple technique was you can draw an X or the sign infinity. So
Oh.
do you realize that all of our DNA, it's that pattern it's following.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to like Donna Eden. It goes back to even in Reiki healing, we used to have the infinity symbol. It just, so when you draw, so the X kind of resembles the infinity. It's just a quick
Okay.
version of it.
Mhm.
You just put a quick X. But wherever you do that, see, the cell's DNA to that level, there is a break in that energy. The energy is not flowing and it
Oh.
is stuck and stagnant. So by
Uh-huh.
simply visualizing and intentionally drawing those X's, you are repatterning. I mean,
Oh. So is
simple.
that what you used to do when you have an acute joint? Huh.
Yes, I would do. I mean, it's not just one thing that helps, Nisha, because when it was so inflamed, it was so bad. And I was still living and working my full-time job. So I had to do a combination of these things. But while I'm working and if it got really hard and stiff, and yes, that's what I did in that moment. I'm not going to go pull out the oils, So in that moment, yes.
Energy first aid. I call it the energetic first aid. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kid you not, I've had clients that I see, that were on so many different pain pills for different conditions, or, they've had surgeries and this and that. And they're telling me they're having all this GI pain and they've so constipated, they
Mhm.
haven't
Mhm.
bowel movement. I say, okay, draw an X on your, so if you're having,
Yes.
depending on where the pain is, if you're feeling stuck, I don't know if you can see, if you're feeling stuck, like you can draw the
Huh.
X right through your abdomen. This is, if you're having hip pain, leg pain, you can crisscross, you know,
Yes.
you can do a stand up. There's so many ways, but what you're doing is you are teaching the body repattern
Hmm.
the body, get unstuck. And it's
Yes.
as simple as that sounds, or as weird as it may sound, it is excellent. It works. I've had clients that come back to me and
Oh,
say,
I hope people try
I
this. I've never heard of this. Yeah.
had the best
Okay.
poop. My constipation is better. It's But it's not going to just work one time. If you have a history of constipation, you may need to do it regularly, but it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's being mindful in doing that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Uh, yeah, so that is one tip I wanted to share.
Hmm.
Another thing I would like to tell my clients, and it's really weird because I learned this at a really young age, like when my kids were really young, playing like soccer, and I remember learning this. I don't even know who I learned it from. Because I was like that soccer mom or the T-ball mom where,
Hmm. Hmm.
have I'd be listening. I don't even think we had headphones, or I don't even remember having them. So at that time, but the kids would be playing, and I'm like listening to inspirational and
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
energy healing things. But I learned this one thing one time, and it was so powerful, and it always stuck through me. And I used to have my kids do this, and it was so weird. Several months ago, my son is 21. He said to me, yes, yes, mom, I know, I remember all these things you taught us. And I thought, holy cow, like this was so long ago, you remember this? So that was a proud mom moment, by the way. But whenever I would get frustrated or anything. So I would use it with the kids in the sense when the two of them are fighting, they're two siblings, 3 years apart, and boys. So they're just, So I would say, stop. We love each other. In fact, I would make them both hug each other. And that was something my husband came up with is you can't hate each other, your brothers, but you're going to have to hug each other until you can learn to forgive each other. And they hated doing that. And they learned to accept it very quickly. But I used to teach them, depending on whatever is happening in life. If you get angry, upset, mad, any feelings that is really agitating you and not serving you, I would say put your hands over your heart, just close,
Mm.
and just say, I come from a place of love.
Hmm.
Take a deep breath. I come from a place of love. I come from a place of love. Or if it's the two kids fighting, I'd say, we come. And a lot of times I would do a group hug, all three of us. I'd say, okay, we're gonna, we come from a place of love. We
Oh, I'm
come.
gonna try that. I have nephews who are 3 and 5. I can
I
tell
can't
you, yes,
not.
lots of fighting. Oh,
I
can be, yeah,
cannot. It was so powerful. It dilutes, it changes,
yeah.
it transcends that energy from that pain, anger, agitation, whatever that low vibrational energy, and it would transmute that energy to a much more love,
Mm-hmm.
heart-centered,
Mm-hmm.
and that distress that your mind was
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, fight or flight, irritation, just that whole, you're shifting your parasympathetic nerve, you're shifting your nervous system to
Mm-hmm.
calm.
Yeah. It's a high spiritual truth. That's spiritual work now. So we've done chemistry, we've done energy, we've done affirmations and intention. That's spirit. I come from love because that's the truth. That's Sitaram. That's
Mhm.
love. Okay, what can you say? I mean, it's going to calm it down, but you have to invoke it like you do. Hand over the heart, and you're saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I have tried it, and I think people just need to use these tips. And the more you use it, the more quicker, easier it gets, and
Yeah.
the quicker it will work for you. I mean, sometimes I could get into a little disagreement with my husband, or he could be saying something. I'm like, really? Because I'm so open-minded, and he can be so rigid, and I'm like, really? And it's like, nope, I'm not going there. And I'll just say, I mean, I don't even put my hands over my heart around him, but I'm just thinking, quietly and peacefully, I come from a place of love. I come from a place of love. I come from a place of love. And you know what? His energy is his, mine is mine. I do not let that interfere. And I become this much more uplifted, healthier, happier person of acceptance. And his energy automatically shifts,
Yeah.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah.
It shifts from that whatever weirdness he was thinking.
Yeah. And
He's thought
and I think you're healing the separation. We
it's it
feel
it's
we're connected. We
yes,
think,
we are
yeah,
connected, and my energy is
yeah,
radiating to his
yes,
yuckiness, and
yes,
it's bringing him to being whole with me.
yeah, yeah.
So I really wanted to share that.
No, that's a very simple, again. Um, we have in the last 3 to 4 years, especially with the uh, this virus, we have separated ourselves even more. We shop separately. We cook separately. We eat separately.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is separate. And look at the crisis around the world. It starts with us. It starts with what you just said. I come from love. Just that. That heals you and it heals the can. Gandhi said, be the change that you seek in the world.
Yes.
Can we just do that? This is not rocket science,
Oh,
but we can shift ours. It starts with us. There is, we all pray for all the troubled spots around the world, which actually is everywhere now. I don't know. Everything seems to be on fire. But then, it's not separate from you. Can we just acknowledge that? That every
mhm.
time we see some trouble, we are deeply in some way contributing even. So let's heal ourselves. Heal yourself. You cannot see it out there unless you see it in yourself. You cannot
Yes.
see it out there unless you see it in yourself. We contain all. So let's bring out the highest in us so that is projected out. We begin to shift
And
inward,
yeah.
and that, as you
And
said, it shifts the husband, shifts the children. That's it. It shifts the community, the neighbor. I hear it all the time, by the way.
yeah.
My neighbors are rotten, what? And then they begin their self-love practice. I've heard it so many times. Same with my patients. There are times when I go, that was an awful clinic day. Come on, breathe, subtle energy, and pray.
Yes.
Get back to that, equanimity and equipoise. Don't carry it around. You don't need to. We don't need to. Everyone's story is a struggle, I'll tell you.
You absolutely, everyone's story is a struggle, and the best way to resolve anything is by looking at our own truth, our own
Mhm.
story,
Yeah.
instead of inflicting and putting the attention at the other people,
Yes.
trying to change them. You have no power over them. If you want to change the other person, you be the change.
Hmm.
You find that peace, that love, that, awareness, and they will be shifted. And even if maybe this is a tough nut, person to crack and you can't, you can still just work on you. You can pray, you can meditate on them. And I kid you not, that will affect them on a
Yes.
vibrational level,
Yes.
frequency,
In a sense, you're doing distance healing, even, right? We're
in the
connected to the
quantum,
field of
it will go
consciousness. Yeah.
to them
Yeah.
and it will shift them.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very
So,
good, very wonderful point. And it's the simplicity, the profoundness of it. And that's all it is. It's contemplative practice. I come from a place of love. Just that mantra alone can take you home to God.
oh,
Can I just say?
oh,
And
absolutely.
you had wanted to share a meditation, and I think this is a good time. I'm not going to talk about, and we'll talk one day when I don't want to go back to the science. We're in this wonderful spiritual area, and
How
what.
about, yeah, how about this? How about I teach people how to awaken their intuition, or
Okay. Hmm.
just a simple, it kind of actually goes along with what we did last week, but so we'll end there then.
Okay.
But it's beginning to, so let's just, you know, close our eyes. If you feel comfortable placing your hands over your heart, feel free to do that. It always helps me. It brings me to the awareness that I want to speak the truth and just, from my highest self. And just take a few deep breaths at your pace. And again, this is a practice I do every morning. And if we can just start our morning like this, I'm telling you, your life can be shifted. Only thing is, you will need to be consistent. Okay. So even while you're laying in bed, sitting, whatever feels comfortable, just place your hands over the heart, take a deep breath. And just ask your higher self, okay, this divine being that you are, this beautiful creation. What is it that you need today? We have to fulfill our higher need. We need to get out of this hustle that we're always in once we open our eyes. So, what is it that your divine being needs? Just as you continue to breathe, ask, what is it? And you may not get the answer right away, especially if you're new to this practice, but you just allow answers to flow. And this is one way you are able to sharpen your intuition. So as you ask, what is it that I need for my highest good today? What is it that I need to do to serve humanity? Whatever your thing is, this is how I speak typically. What is it that I need to do for my highest self? And how can I better serve people around me and my family? Just notice what happens. Are you getting a vision? Are you hearing something? Maybe you have a little bit of a knowing or a feeling. You may have an image. And maybe you don't have any of it. And that's okay too, because this practice will, if practiced long enough and regularly, you will begin to sharpen and get your answers at a much more ease. But just notice throughout the day, just because you put that intention of what is it that I need to, for my highest good, and what can I do? What is it that I need to fulfill? Your dharma, your work responsibility as, your for your family, your work, whatever it is, whatever your questions are. Throughout the day, your divine creation, angels, guides, whatever you believe, universe, you will start receiving answers. You just have to pay attention. As things happen, it's happening because you have put that question out there in the universe and for your higher self. Now your higher self is leading you throughout the day, unfolding and bringing you your answers. So just allow yourself to be open. And I always like to just at the end, just show gratitude of, very simple for me. I'm so grateful that I have this breath and, that I slept and I woke up. So thank you so much. And you can slowly and comfortably just open your eyes once you have your intention and, your gratitude. So that is a very powerful technique to just
Yes.
allow you to connect and sharpen your own intuition.
Yes. Yes. And I like that it is really moving into silence. You're moving into silence, and there's a invitation, and also to be receptive. So silence is, your cup is not full, you're just there. And it sets the tone right there for the rest of the what's coming for that day. And it can shift radically just for that practice. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And once we open our eyes, we're going to be bombarded with everything. But just by this little practice we did, I don't know about you, Nisha, but I'm feeling calmer. Like I
Mhm.
can feel,
Yes.
my heart isn't like talk, talk, talk like I have been. It's, I'm a little calmer
Well,
and
what I noticed was my scalp
more
became,
receptive.
yeah, my scalp relaxed. So, excuse me,
You have some water?
oh, my coffee.
Okay.
Oh, that feels good. Um, and maybe I'm clearing stuff just by being quiet. The lung says, okay, get rid of this. I mean, yeah, everything is okay. There's no bad, good, no, there's no judgment. For me, the scalp became very relaxed and the brain became quiet because I have the next question. I want to talk about this and this and this. No, just
No.
calm down. It's
Come
okay.
right,
This is a good place. Yeah, this is a good
come
place.
back to home.
Yeah.
Come back to home. That's why when we place our hand here, it gets us out of the thinking head
Yes, yes.
and it puts us right here. So just by simply putting our hands here, you know,
Hmm.
and then the more you get good at it, you don't even need to do that. But I love this. This is home. This is,
Yeah. And this
you
is,
know, this is home. I'm open to the divine. I'm open to Krishna giving me answers. I am just an open vessel,
right.
work through me now. And there's so many things. I mean, here I lead my clients to other things, but this is just a very good, simple practice.
Yes. Wonderful. Terrific. It
Yeah.
really set the tone for my Sunday.
Oh, I'm so happy for
Yeah.
you. That's wonderful. See, and you have it. You can do this.
We can, yeah, we can do it.
Do this. We
So we
can all.
have the capacities. We are, and for those who are with chronic illnesses, everything that you've shared, Jagu, is so supremely important. And all of those aspects of a human, the physical, the energetic, the mind with the intention and affirmation in spiritual practices, they're all covered. They're all important. One is not more important than another. You know, I think the
Oh,
clues and practices and points you've given can actually really, you can make your own program with this 1 hour of listening. Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm ready to do any programs. I
No,
just
no,
like,
people can make their own program, daily
yes, yes,
program from
yes,
what
yes.
you've said. Yeah.
So just one thing that just kind of came through me as you're explaining this, that we can use these in all layers and, different ones.
Yes.
So I want you to look at when we are planting something.
Hmm.
We plant, we need to add good fertilizer. We need to water it. It needs sunlight. It needs the air for movement. It cannot just have sun all the time or it's not going to survive. It cannot just have water all the time or it will drown. It cannot just have too much fertilization. It needs a combination. And
Hmm.
this is where Ayurveda and us and spirituality and science, everything blends. We are whole. We are not one thing.
Hmm.
We may
Yeah.
gravitate towards one thing temporary, maybe if our body really needs it, it will, your intuition will say, hey, I need this more right now because maybe you are ungrounded. Your body is saying more electromagnetic field, I need
Yeah,
more grounding,
yeah,
I need more
yeah.
grounding. Or maybe your body's deficient of a certain food element and it needs, certain food.
Yeah. You bring to a point, there's a wonderful book, The Christ in
Oh,
You, that the light in you can never be blocked. The light in you is seeking God all the time, that even the most nothing can impede that. Okay. Eventually it reaches Krishna or Christ consciousness. And that really is reassuring for me, that
yeah,
whatever I might do or decide, or ultimately, let's shorten that journey quick, quick, quick. Why are we distracted all the time? Stop all the drama. Let's get there. And that's the happiness. You don't need a bazillion things. It's
that's
really
natural
acknowledging that
serotonin.
truth. Yeah.
Yes, that's the natural serotonin we have, right?
Yeah.
That love and
Yeah.
light. So when you say that, one more thing that comes to my mind, um, I've recently learned belief coding,
Uh-huh.
and it's releasing things, patterns that people have been living their entire life with. So we're clearing their belief. And as I clear, it's so simple. I tell them, okay, we've removed everything. So a concept of belief coding is we have a full tree structure and the branches and fruits. So we're taking away all the negative programming. Those are all the branches, and then we're taking away the trunk, which is the limiting belief that you've been
Mm-hmm.
your whole life by, whether it's created, genetically passed, whatever. So we're taking that away. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're taking away the faulty core belief which is even deeper layer, and that's the root system. We're
Mm-hmm.
yanking apart like this whole tree. We're dismantling all the pieces of this, all these branches and barks and parts of the tree, the trunk, the root system, and then Nisha, even the soil may need to be removed, and that's the faulty core identity. We might have a faulty core identity that also needs to be pulled out. So once we pull
Mm-hmm.
this stuff out, and then there's all these, and the whole thing, the whole tree structure and the belief system is fed off by emotions and energy. So we're going to clear all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When we clear all of that, I tell the clients, see, now everything has been cleared, and now we're even filling in where we've taken this tree out. Now we're filling in and I'm patting it with just fresh soil. So now nothing will grow through. So they're like, well, how will the shifts happen? I say, well, because you are light already.
Yeah, I think
We've
just
just taken
acknowledging your core, this negativity, just by looking at it, you release its hold on you, actually. You
it is
have to shine your awareness on it, your light of
sandy.
your awareness. Yeah. So
Yes.
anything negative is an invitation for you to have self-discovery, actually. It's not a bad thing. And as you said, slow down, look at it, do the X or the infinity sign, look at it, love the thing. And you have guides. You're not alone in any aspect, and that you can absolutely reach home to equipoise and peace. Peace is no movement. It's just not joy or happiness which go away. Peace is
Mm,
just, there is a okayness with what is here and now. Um,
yes. Everything is just okay. Just
yeah,
love it.
everything is okayness. But these are all the techniques I can hear that you're really using or bringing to your clients to free them. You're setting them
Oh,
free.
absolutely.
That's it. Ultimately, freedom is the human, um, it's our birthright to be internally free. Okay. And
Yep.
it's not about Dr. Manek, tell me what to do. I always go back, what is the story here? And how do you set them free little by little? It's not a one day thing. It can be,
Mm-hmm.
it's a process. And sometimes you go backwards too, I'll be honest. And sometimes you make a great leap forward. All is
Yeah.
okay. Ultimately, Hippocratic oath, don't do no harm. try your best. And yeah, on this note, we have gone over the top of the hours, but I was having
Yes,
fun. It's a
yes.
great
Thank you so
Sunday.
much. And this
Oh,
was lovely.
you've been more than generous. I know it's Eastern Standard Board time
Up
now. You've
for
left
meeting.
Wisconsin, but
Oh no, it's
thank you,
great.
thank you very much.
This is a wonderful way to spend my Sunday.
Yeah, it has been for
Yeah.
me too.
This is really, it's food for the soul.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
this is
but
wonderful.
and I think I would urge the viewers to repeat this and take notes or freeze the thing and make a program for yourself. What you have given is very high level information. You won't get this on Google searching. Can we be
Mhm.
clear? Okay, you can't get, and you're a nurse. I respect you. I know what you've done. Including the thing I have my course rheumatoid relief, but I think what you have done is discover all the things that you have helped you without
Mhm.
drugs, and now you're able to bring that knowledge and inner experience to clients and saying, hey, how about this? Oh, it didn't work. I can tell you why, or let's do it this way. There's tweaking all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's not a cookie cutter program. And so I encourage the viewers to look at this because it gives a very high level program. And you said consistency is everything and that you can self heal. You can do it. All right.
It's our birthright. We all have that in us. We
Yeah,
just
we
tap
have.
in. Just tap in.
We
Allow.
deserve freedom. That's what
Yeah,
no insurance things. We deserve
no,
freedom. Yeah.
absolutely. Just be open, and aware
hmm
and allow.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. It was good to
Thank
be
you.
with you today, and I wish you well, lots of success in your energy practice. And it is coming up to Diwali, so happy
Happy
Diwali, happy
Diwali.
New Year, and
Yes.
may lots of Sitaram blessings.
May we serve many and help shift many
Yeah,
people
yeah,
find whole, find their um find themselves.
yeah, find themselves, find
Yes.
themselves. All right, on that note, I'm going to end the recording.
Thank you.
Hi,
Bye-bye.
Jagruti.